All right.
Not in life, though.
All right, folks, welcome. So we are in the woods in a top secret cabin discussing highly classified information. We have myself and B Dog again, and then we have on the amazing Meg Hayden here, everybody.
How are
Hey,
you?
B Dog, could you play the video quick? Here we are. Yeah, should have put oh yeah, we have that volume issue again, huh? So there I am conducting professional business. Stats. See? Yeah, yeah. There's B Dog. Exhibitionist. Yeah. Expeditionist. There you go. That's awesome. Wow. What was that? A cigarette?
Yeah.
Huh. Cabin Quest. Hello, everybody. So, I've always wanted to do a bit of an introductory on real estate because I've gotten into the field of real estate after buying my first property, and I realize there's so much that I don't know, and I feel like it's a whole field that I'd like to understand better to give me a bit of an edge in the market here or whatever's going on. So, Um, Meg, could you give us a little bit intro on you? So you're a realtor here in the state of Rhode Island,
I
right?
am.
And you are I believe it would be called a broker. So a broker, if you look up the definition, I believe it means like a middle. Oh, all right, all right. So let's see if this matches up what she's talking about. We're gonna scroll for me, buddy. I
Well,
can't do it
let me just
myself.
do.
Yeah,
Come on. I'm like we're ADD.
yeah, yeah.
Let's get it. Let's get to it quick.
Yeah. So what? So
So
the difference? Yeah, let's go.
yeah. My name is Meg Hayden, and I am a licensed real estate broker in New Jersey, Massachusetts, and then I'm a salesperson in New Jersey. Did I say New Jersey? New Jersey with Sotheby's. So the difference between a salesperson and a broker is just more education. So when you go to get your license, you would become a salesperson first. You take a bunch of classes, which it sounds like you guys took. And then to get your broker's license, you have to have at least 2 years of experience as a sales agent, and then also take more classes. But it allows you to open up your own office. And when I had one of my teachers actually, she was like, just go get just go take the test, like go take the just go take the classes. And because it's all fresh in your head, within a year.
Mm.
So I took it within a year, and then by the time I got my second year of actual like having my license, then I was able to apply for my broker's license.
Oh, cool.
So
Oh, yeah.
it's just like nice to have um options,
Yeah, so it opens you to option. I understand because I'm like a CDL holder, and you can have a bunch of endorsements. Even though I probably won't use them, I can do all this stuff like drive buses and drive tankers and stuff. But so see, open up an own office. That is like code word for like this place like Century 21 or Remax. An own office would mean like who's funding it. So you would open it. Say you want, do you open it under Sotheby's or do you open it under Meg Hayden's awesome real estate company? Like
Well, we're
what would it
gonna do
be?
that one. The Meg's
Maybe.
Meg Hayden's awesome real estate office.
But so who would? So here's the deal.
You
Like
can do
finding.
two things, right? So there's franchises like Century 21, Sotheby's, what have you. And you basically buy into the franchise, and you're able to use their name and whatever technology they have to be able to have your own offices.
So I'm assuming that would come with every sale Remax needs to do or Century 21 needs to do because you're using their name, which is trusted, right? So if you go to look, oh, I want to sell my house, and oh, a very familiar Remax sign. I know they're trustable, whatever. And then I have this thing like Big Meg's Insane Realty. It goes, oh, I don't know if this is trustworthy, but I wouldn't rather use them. I'd rather use somebody that my mother sold at Remax or something like that.
Mhm.
But if you had your own office, you wouldn't have to be paying a little 2% or whatever percent due to some franchiser. Same thing with owning a Subway or a Dunkin'. You know what I mean? The managers there, they'll own something like that. And they got to, even though they're doing all the work, they still got to pay for the name that they're using. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
so it's basically just paying for the name. But I mean, there are a lot of smaller offices, and at the end of the day, real estate is all about relationships. And so it's the relationships that you've built and established. So, you know, do people really care that it's Century 21 Northeast? Not necessarily. They care that it's Meg
Mm.
negotiating and marketing
Uh,
their property for them.
did you have any question, V Dog?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you usually would start maybe with a franchise so that way you get the backing, people think you're reputable or they know you're reputable because you're working for Century 21, let's say. then you get your name built up, and you can eventually end up ending the franchise, having like your own thing and put on your resume. Maybe I used to work for Century 21. I did this, I did that.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on what your business plan is. I mean, the company that I work for, Century 21 Northeast, we are one of the top 5 Century 21s in the country. Like my broker, Jim D'Amico, is crazy. He just buys offices. Like that's all he does. So it depends on what you're looking to do. And then you could also just create like an independent office as well. So yeah, it really depends on what your business plan is for
Who
sure.
has the most success, do you find? The people that stay with the franchises or the ones that do independent work?
Um, I mean, I don't probably the franchises, but it just depends.
So that's what I want to ask here is that I know there's going to be a bunch of people here that have no idea how the whole setup is. So I want to do a brief description of the setup, right? And I'm going to put this graph on here after we edit it, so you guys that are listening will get this. So what we have at the bottom of the totem pole here will be like a buyer, right? So this is how the whole thing's set up. It's so tough to forget how the whole branch and trees of life is set up. So he's going to reset the cameras.
Is it the front or the back button?
Back button,
Okay.
and then I'll put her on here so we can see it. Make sure it's centered. Yeah, it's good. And I'll just double check this one, make sure it's good because I feel yours is about to set up. They're on like 20-minute timers, so every
Yeah, I know.
20
I
minutes.
have the same one, the
Anyway,
Rebel.
yeah, so good investment in the counter. So at the bottom of the totem pole, everybody here, we have a buyer, and that's going to branch out. So who's above a buyer? I'd assume a sales agent, right? Sales agent. And when you're buying a home, you need two things, right? You need a sales agent.
You need a buyer's agent.
So, ooh, yeah, I got the wrong term on there. Buyer's agent, and then you also need a loan officer, right? Because unless you have 400 grand to cough up today,
Hmm.
you need a loan officer, right?
But there is something called either seller financing or accretive financing. So because we are so molded to be in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the banks are a great way to get in there if you are looking to put 3% down or 0% down for a property. But if you have anywhere from like 15 to 20%, there are options to, especially if the seller is open to it, you could actually just have like pay your mortgage payment to the seller. So the way that I found out
Didn't even
about
know
this
anything about this. Can you please give me the name again, just so I can get this?
sellers financing. So the way that I found out about this was I will be purchasing within the year a
Mm-hmm.
property in Vermont. I love skiing. I love the woods. So does this kid over here, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at property up in Vermont. I was looking at like a four or $500,000 house that was really within my second home
Mm-hmm.
price range. And I came across this house on Zillow. It was a for sale by owner, so off market technically. And it was like $800,000. And I'm like, this is totally out of my wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't care. I was like, well, what's seller financing? He was offering seller financing. So when I went to meet him, he had told me that he was going to give me like a 5.5% rate and asked for $100,000 down, and which was way cheaper than doing a second home loan. So
Okay.
like second home loans were 8, 9%. So when I was initially doing my numbers and my budget for the $400,000 house, I looked at my budget to see how much my monthly payment would be
Mm-hmm.
versus when I looked at this other property that was more expensive. It was in a better location. It was a 5 bedroom. It's like literally at the base of the mountain. So I knew that I'd be able to rent it out for more money. And because it was a lower rate, and he was even going to allow me to like extend it for 40 years. And I remember my mom being like, but the guy's 86 years old. Like, how's he
Yeah.
going to do a 40-year
Yeah, he
mortgage?
won't even live to see the
Right.
In
end of it.
Vermont snow
Well,
there too.
this guy owns like 120 units from Massachusetts, in Texas. And that's generational wealth, dude. Like, I was going to be paying his kids for the next 40 years a mortgage payment, even after he died, to the estate.
So explain this to a newbie, right? You're telling me that this guy has this property. He's not using a seller's agent. He's selling it himself. So like
Mm.
he'll go there and unlock the door for you and show you around. How does he decide he wants 5%? Like, does he decide that? And does he get paid right away from a bank and then a bank handles it? Or does
No,
he
no, 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 no,
actually
no. It's
collect?
5.5% for the loan.
Okay.
So he's gonna, so instead of it being Bank of America, let's say I was selling my house and I wanted to do seller financing, it would be Meg Hayden's bank, and you would be paying me
Oh, wow.
the mortgage
That answers it.
and the interest.
I was going to ask you a long question that didn't even make sense. You
Yeah.
actually answered it correctly. So when I sell this cabin for 20 grand and I am doing seller's financing, I'm actually getting paid every month by somebody who's paying a
Yeah, this
mortgage.
is just the financing aspect. This is who's purchasing it.
But we
Right.
need lawyers involved because
Mhm.
someone's going to stop paying, and I'm not going to go to their house and knock on their door, right? Isn't lawyers are
Yeah,
involved in
so
all
of
this stuff?
course you have to have an attorney involved, but just like a bank, they have, documents that say like this is how much you have to pay each month and this is the contract, right? Now, you want 20% down on that property if you're going to do seller financing, right?
Mm.
Because that's just the amount that you can like be okay with walking away with. Now, if you don't pay me, right, I still have that 20% down. I still have all the money that you've paid me up until now. And then I foreclose on you and now it's my property again because I own the title.
Oh, that's what I was asking. I was going to say when they stop paying, I don't want to have to go get a lawyer and be
Mhm.
like, can we start opening a case? I have time in the middle of the day to go meet with lawyers
No,
and
you
go
just
ask them.
foreclose on them. Yeah, you would just foreclose on them like a bank would.
Yeah, so I like the idea of power of being able to completely end someone's whole residential life there, being able to foreclose
Yeah.
on them. And I don't think I showed you this yet, but I've made most of my money by selling these VHSs on scams here. So we have How to Scam Dirtbag Style, and we have How to Become a Stinking Rich Millionaire. And on the back, gives you a little brief description of what this is. I've
Wait,
done strawman scam. You know what a strawman scam is?
no.
Oh, we probably shouldn't get into it here because it is you could be landed in prison for a very
Talking about
long time.
lawyers, too. You be
Yeah,
careful.
strawman is basically you get a person who's deceased, you get their information, and then you will make loans with them and things like that, so they don't have anybody
You're
to
a
go
terrible
after.
human and you should
Yeah,
really just
look up strawman. We'll have another episode going over it, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys how I made all my cash sometime. But strawman scam is the best thing to get into, at least before they put all legislation against it after
Yeah.
'08. So anyway. So, you like that little kerfuffle over here. I'm kind of just busting you up a little bit, but anyway, I know a thing or two about realty, right? So,
I just love how you had the VHS tapes.
isn't that cool?
Yeah, like that just threw me back,
Well, it's called
all the way back.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
called the thing I've been known for. Besides that, is putting in a little bit of effort into something that nobody else would, right? Like
That's all it is.
yeah, it's like if you look at the stuff I've bought on Amazon, they say, "What are you gonna do with this?" Looks like I'm making a bomb, but I do all these funny
Mhm.
little things. I've done so many. I've done pranks to the public and stuff I can't even get into here, but I've done
Mhm.
so many things like that.
Oh, we've got a
Well,
couple. Yeah.
I mean, I've made. All right, I'll give one away because this is past. What's it called when the time runs out for a crime?
Statute of
Yeah, it's
limitations.
past
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
went in Connecticut. I had this state park I was camping at, and I would print out my own flyers for the state park,
Mhm.
and it's all professional until you get to one page and it'll have like a little dirty joke on it. It'll be like, I don't really want to say it on here, but it'll be very professional. But here's the picnic tables, all this
Yeah.
stuff, yeah, yeah. It'll list some fake prices or whatever. Like, that's weird. I get to some page and be like, here's there's a glory hole in this porta potty here or whatever. Like, but it's like
Yeah.
the state, it'll like the
Yeah.
state parks thing. It'll be all professional, and I'm like, oh, what is this?
Like, for instance, the parents get all upset.
Yeah. So it's like a kid ain't gonna read it and go get his mind destroyed from this. It's
Yeah.
like you have to read the whole thing, and nobody's
Yeah.
only grown-ups are reading it. There's pictures, it show. It's all very professional. It's all from their website.
Little pamphlet. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
So
and then
weird.
from that I was as a child. Then I upgraded to screwing over people on real estate and things like
Yeah.
that. So,
The scams evolved,
scam.
basically.
Yeah. So I do have a notebook like this full of scams and how to scam people in and out of real estate. How to buy with a scam. Like for an example.
I feel like this is terrible.
Uh, so well, listen to it. 'Cause
Podcast am I on?
So, well, the thing is that I don't do it ever like for neglect due to just collect money. I always help somebody out, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you a simple one that you can understand very easily. If you go on a Zillow and you know what house you want to buy and you're not represented yet, right? what you would do is you get a bunch of realtors from the same office or from different offices, depending on how you want to do it. And you say, hey, I'm ready to buy this home. And you know the person's gonna you go knock on the door prematurely and you talk to them about it. You're
Mhm.
both gonna make money. The
Mhm.
guy selling the house and you are gonna make money. And you get a bunch of realtors to compete against each other because you're ready to buy, you're already pre-approved, and everything's ready to go. So the realtor gets what? How much percentage does a realtor make on a sale?
It's negotiable.
Mm.
So say you're getting 5%. Is that a regular thing? A buyer's representing me is going to get 5%.
No.
They
Buyer
get less.
again, it's all
Like,
negotiable, yeah.
say they're getting 2 or 3%, and it's a $500,000 home. That's what, 10 grand or something like that.
Mhm.
So you make them all compete to give you back the money, and you split it with a guy. So that way you can actually make a sale prematurely with a person that you knocked on their door who owns a house, and you get money back because like they're supposed to like give you a gift, or sometimes they'll give you a gift if you buy a nice property or something like that. Give you a gift card or a bike or something,
Mhm.
right? So you actually say, hey, this thing's ready to go. I'm talking to a bunch of realtors, and whoever's going to take the least amount of money, it's going to take you 1 day of paperwork. You'll get a grand for it. I want the other 6 grand or however much you're going to make.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then they give it to you. Obviously, you would maybe have to, you'd
We're
maybe,
really technically not allowed to
It's
do
well,
that.
coercion,
that's why
right?
it's a
It's like a
scam. You're
form
not
of
allowed to do it.
coercion. Yeah.
Hey,
I feel
hey,
like
take a quick break.
I feel
Any reason you have the license for New Jersey also? Did you
I'm
out
a
there at one point?
I'm a Jersey girl. Mhm.
Oh, so you,
Born and raised 609-598-2232. Call me.
oh man, it sounds like rap lyrics or something when they start doing the zip code stuff. So, did you have any other jobs before you did real estate? Any other job? Did you work like at a fast food restaurant or anything as a little girl, or what would you
No,
do?
I mean, no, I babysat a lot. I've always been a little bit of an entrepreneur. I used to make jewelry, sell jewelry. I worked at schools, but when I came to Rhode Island, there were not a lot of jobs available and they were just not paying anything. So, I have always been interested in real estate. I used to like go to open houses and when I lived in Philly and just like check it out and I'm like these agents are terrible. You go to an open house and you walk in and they're like, "Hey, welcome. Take a look around." You're like, "That's
Yeah.
it? That's all. Sign
So,
in and take a look around. That's all you got for me?" It's terrible.
so yeah, as a realtor, I feel like you can like build up a reputation or a brand or something. Like in this state, we got the realest skater who does the
That's
skates
my
and
girl,
stuff.
Connie. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I spoke to her briefly. I think she was supposed to come on here. She went away, I believe, but
Yeah,
she's gonna do this
she's
eventually.
skating in Spain.
It's
She's roller skating in Spain.
I'm a little jealous because with the type of work I'm doing, I just can't go away, and especially overseas. But I can
Yeah.
go to like New Hampshire or something like that. But so anyway, so she's got like a bit of a brand where it's like you can just call any agent or oh, this girl's the realest skater, and like she'll do the twirls on the thing, and she even like in one of the showing videos, she's in the driveway, she'll skate up to it, but then she's on the hardwood floors and the skates are off. You know what I mean? So it's a cool brand to have. But what you as a little girl, you're into real estate. You mean like you were into like houses and you like the way they looked to the interiors, or
No,
like
I
why
just
would
like
you
the
like it?
numbers. I liked well, I mean, not a little girl, but like when I was in my like 20s, I just liked seeing just the numbers like from place to place why people would be, asking for more money or what have you and any updates and stuff
Mm,
like that. So, and I've always liked to help people. So, I think I think realtors get a bad rap and some of them are not very good. But at the end of the day, it's my, fiduciary responsibility to make sure that like number one, we're still friends after the
mm,
transaction, and then I put you in a property that is worth it, like that you're going to make money. My one of my clients, I kept telling him like back in 2018, I'm like, you just buy some real estate. So every year he would call me. He's like, I hate being a landlord. I want to sell it. I'm like, just hold it. I'm like, I would love to sell your property, but I would love to see you make
mm.
more money in
Well,
the end.
I'll tell you what, I went through the process, and the whole story of my process is for another time. We came and cover it within an hour, 2 hours, right? I think you know a little bit about this.
Mhm.
Anyway, the whole process is so scary and not fun because, yeah, I know these people want to sell the house and you want to buy the house. You're looking at your future for probably like somebody like me doesn't move around. I'm going to be here probably the rest of my life.
Mhm.
Maybe, maybe at 60, maybe downsize, probably not. So this is the rest of my life. Like, how far a drive is this to work? What kind of road is this? Who's going to build next to me, right? Is the lots next to you being built up? So the whole process isn't fun where I don't really want to like have this glorified experience of this really famous realtor is going to sell me this stuff. It's like, I like to skim the fat off everything. I'm like, I see the house I want on Zillow. We have to have these people in between because I don't know how to fill out paperwork. I'm with this realtor and he's like, could you sign this paper, please? And it says like some paper that I can't read because I'm not a lawyer. It's like that for this property, you have to stay with this guy. So I can go do these stupid scams. I can't go do a
Mm,
switch and get some other guy to close on the property with me or have two people doing the same property. Like there's all this stuff. It's like, I'm just taking his word for it that I signed this. And there's other things that you can sign where you can look at a property with one realtor, not like him anymore. Go to a different property. If you sign this paper without reading it, he has to get a cut of it too. Are you aware of this?
Yeah, I mean, those are the buyer agent agreements. But again, like I think it's really about you're not like I don't go into anything and I'm like, hey, just sign this doc right here. I'm like, listen, mommy's worth it. And and my job is to for a buyer is to negotiate the best terms for you and the best repairs. So even, at the height of the market, I was able to negotiate for one of my VA sellers or buyers, which is sometimes it's difficult to get VA loans offer accepted,
VA is what? That's a veterans.
veterans loan, because they're 0% down. And they have additional requirements like a termite inspection that the seller has to pay
uh,
for. So a lot of times sellers feel uncomfortable, if they have multiple offers, they would rather go with somebody who's putting a little bit more skin in the game. But the VA loans are absolutely fantastic loans for veterans. Um, so I would highly recommend anybody who is a veteran to use that to buy investment property with 0% down. It's huge. But again, I negotiated like a new roof for them in the height of the market.
And when you say negotiate, you mean so you're a realtor representing a buyer,
Yes.
and you go to a house with them, and they have a realtor there representing the seller.
Yeah.
So how do you negotiate? You say, "Hey, my clients are worth it because they have hard-earned cash." Like I don't. If it was up to me to do this to negotiate a new roof for somebody, I'd be like, "You want to put the new roof on?" No. I'm like, "Well, please." Like, how do you negotiate? Like, do you beg? Like I don't. I don't know what you would do. Like, how do you do it? You read the description of the house, say this doesn't match this. It said newer
Well,
roof.
so I mean, so as a buyer's agent, like my job is also to walk you through to understand your the properties that we're walking through, to understand like what's going to need to be done in the future, how old is the roof, what's the heating system, what have you. So really understanding like the actual house, because a lot of buyers, they don't know the first thing about buying a house, especially first time home buyers. And like you were saying, knowing if there's lots that are there, and will I not be able to have my view or what have you. These are all the things that I walk in and I'm like the Debbie Downer with the buyers, and I'm like, you don't want to, I'm like, this is beautiful house, but 95 is like right there. So when you're thinking of even reselling this property, any issues that you have that might not allow a buyer to really want to purchase the property are things that like we as experienced realtors know. And it's like my job is to make sure that your resale value is as high as possible. I did though, it was so funny. So my friend, she was selling her house and buying a house.
Mhm.
And they were like, "So are we buying at the height of the market? Like, are we going to buy the most expensive house pretty much?" I'm like, "Yeah, just don't get divorced in the next 5 years." But
Exactly.
but we did end up finding her. I found this new construction house. Agent had terrible photos on, like that's the thing is like marketing is so important when you're listing a property, but we'll talk about that later.
Mhm.
But I saw this house and I was like, dude, this house is like $250,000 price per square foot. I'm like, you literally can't even build that. Like, I don't even know how this guy's going to make any money off of the property. So I'm like, my house built in like 1960 is going for $350 per square foot. I'm like, we just got to get in here. So we went under contract. And then because the builder had missed some of his deadlines,
Mhm.
I was able to negotiate. I'm like, hey, listen, since you missed our deadline, the buyers need to move in, they're selling their house, what have you. Why don't you buy down the rate? So I was able to negotiate the builder
Mhm.
to give whatever $5,000 to be able to purchase down, like to buy down the rate for the clients. So that allowed their monthly payment and rate for the next 30 years to be down by half a point.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Do you have any inquiries, B-Dog? I
Well,
seen you reaching for the button over
yeah, I
there.
wanted to ask actually, just taking it back a bit, when you first got your license, when you first started,
Mhm.
how do you get clients? Where do these clients come from? Cold calling? Where do you get the list of clients from? Where does it all begin?
Yeah, sure. So, I was new to the state of Rhode Island,
Mm.
literally moved from Philly. So I I read a lot and I looked at YouTube videos on how to sell, where to sell, and I started with cold calling. So I would cold call for sale by owners, which is they're not using
Oh.
a seller, and just talk to people.
Where'd you get that list from, though? Like, where'd you
You
get
can get
the?
it online,
Okay.
yeah. So, um, but it's really about adding value to the seller. And so now when I am cold calling, I still cold call. But I am able to tell them about, what just happened with the new NAR lawsuit. So now buyer agents have to pay their buyers,
I just read about this,
or
and this
sorry,
is huge.
buyer agents, sorry, their buyers have to pay for their representation, their buyer agent, and sellers are going to pay for their representation. So previously sellers would um pay for both the selling and the buying agent. And now that the laws have changed and they don't necessarily have to, some agents are saying, like, no, it's good to like get people in the door and entice them. But I believe that if it's my fiduciary responsibility to you as a seller, why should you pay for someone to negotiate against you for a
Mm.
lower price and for repairs? Just
Not
doesn't make
fun.
sense to me.
Not fun. So, a brief description, NAR is the National Association of Realtors.
Hmm.
So they passed, I don't know how they bring up the Constitution or what they do, but so many things happen. And before, like when I bought my property, I guess, like the seller, the basic layout of how it works is that if I'm a buyer, I don't pay for my realtor. It was just for free. You go on Zillow, you go, I want to see the showing. They go, all right, we're going to send a guy. I'm like, do I pay for it? Like, no. I'm like, ever? No. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll use them
I
rather
mean, and
than do it
some
myself.
people will say like, well, the buyers ended up paying for it anyway because they were the ones offering the price, and then that comes off of that. But I'm like, but it comes off of the seller's net. It doesn't go. It's not. It's
Correct.
different.
So nothing in life is ever free.
Nope.
What actually happens is that, well, I'll get into it in 1 second. B Dog, say what you got to say.
Well, it's kind of like a little bit different of a topic. I kind of actually wanted to get into this a bit because we almost tapped in it earlier. But did you want to finish
It's
what you said
every
first?
time we get off topic, it's all this guy. No, no,
Yeah,
finish that. Finish. I'll say I'll just say one sentence real quick. Make sure you know what you're gonna say.
yeah, I know.
My real quick sentence I want to say is that nothing's for free. So when you go, oh my God, I clicked on Zillow. They sent a guy, Century 21, signed a paper. He negotiated for me, got the house. I never paid anything. Well, you don't realize is that if you buy that house with somebody representing you, the realtor who's the seller who's representing the guy with the house, he always goes, oh, he's represented. Now I got to split my cut with this guy, which they always assume they have to. But if you're not represented, he takes the whole whatever percent they got, at least with the old laws. I'm obviously not a pro, not licensed for anything, but this is how I understand it.
Mhm.
Just going through this process a few
Yeah,
years
you
ago.
would become it's a transaction facilitator. So you still have a fiduciary responsibility towards your seller. So you can't tell the buyer anything. You can't give them any advice. It is literally just numbers. You're like, "Oh, okay, you guys like this house? Awesome. What number would you like to come in at?" I'll write up the offer and present it to the seller. But you can't say like, "Oh yeah, these guys like they really got to get out of the house." Like I had someone sell my house. They were like, the lady was like, "Well, if she's going through a divorce." I'm like, "Why would you give that?
Yeah.
Why would you give them that
You
information?
want to be
Like
a little
just
tight
say
lipped.
they're
Just
moving."
so everybody knows, fiduciary means that
Mm.
you have like a financial responsibility to let them financially prosper. So I'm sure it's not the exact definition, but a fiduciary means that you have to be in their best interest financially. It means you can't like say whatever you want with your free speech
And
and
a
stuff.
lot
You
of
know what I mean?
people do. So I feel
Yeah.
like you just have to get somebody who knows when to like shut up or pivot
Mm.
whatever question people have,
B
you
Dog,
know?
you got something about cold calling or something you were talking
All
about?
right. So no, here's the thing. I want to tap in a bit earlier when we were, talking about the fake scams and all that kind of stuff, right?
Uh,
You mentioned something that I thought sounded like in life insurance called coercion, where you would provide a gift to one of your clients, basically to try to get them to coerce to buy your
so
product, right?
exactly, yeah.
I want to tap in a bit on that because I'm not so sure how it works in real estate, but I'm reading here. It does look like that there is actually coercion in a
All right.
similar
So
fashion. Is that correct? How is that what happens there?
In terms of real, I mean,
Like, is it also
maybe
illegal in real estate as it is in life insurance
to pay somebody to for what?
to provide a gift if they're going to use your product? Like, let's say that they're for life insurance, basically, it's like, hey, if you buy my life insurance, I'll give you a free Subway
Yeah,
gift card or
there's like,
something. Like,
yeah, there is. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, there is.
So
Yeah.
the
yeah.
what
But
AI on Google here is saying coercion in
is
real
it also
estate
against the law as
can
well?
occur when someone is forced to enter into a contract transaction through threats, which would under pressure or force, and you can
Yeah, I
define
mean, and
pressure as
the
some
fact of the
means.
matter is, like, there are some, like, I heard the other, so one of my friends, she called me, she's like, listen, you got to call my mom. She had a realtor come to her house as, like, they were going to list
Mhm.
it, right? And then they were like, well, we really love this house, so we'll just buy it for you, right now. Here's the number. And I don't know why they signed a purchase and sales agreement and all the things, but
Mm,
I just, I just think people have to be smart before they're signing anything, especially with um, the biggest investment in their life. So, yeah, I'm sure it happens, but
yeah,
that's not really my
there's
forte.
there's sounds like it's something that
I'm like, Liz, why are we going so negative, guys?
Well, no, I just
Damn.
wondering if it's into it. That's all.
so
Because
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think we was just
it happens. You
wondering
want to make
if
sure.
you've heard of this happening or anything like
Yeah,
that. But
of
I think that this
course.
is a pretty tame area here. I don't think anybody maybe New York is someone's doing that.
But but with the cold calling too, like in terms of getting into real estate, like how do you get buyers? I literally would door knock the neighborhood. I was like 7 months pregnant with my Converse on because my feet were so big. And I was like, hey, my name's Meg Hayden. I'm your local realtor. Beautiful house. And then I would just ask them if they knew anybody who was looking to buy or sell. And they'd be like, oh yeah, Cindy down the street. I'm like, cool. Where's she? And then I would just knock on her door.
Mm.
And that's how I, got started. And then I also, um, my expertise is working with developers. So currently, I have a 16 unit condo development going up in West Warwick. And when I first started real estate, I read the book called Million Dollar Agent by Gary Keller. So Keller Williams, Gary Keller, he wrote a book. And I think it's super important to read as much as you can about whatever you're interested in. I read Sirhan, I read every million dollar listing agent, all their books. But the most important thing is always about when you're first starting off as a real estate agent is to get listings. And so what I mean, I really, so that's what I focused on, but I focused on developers because I'm like, well, if I work with a developer, right, I'm going to get like 6 to 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 potential listings in 1 year.
Yeah.
So that's where I focused. And what I would do was anytime I saw a construction site, I would just pull over and I'm like, hey, hi,
Uh,
my name's Mike.
that's
What do you guys got going on here?
Yeah.
that's like advanced cold calling, and you have to be
Mhm.
okay with rejection with that. So he works in life insurance, and I think do you do cold calls, buddy? And how's that?
Yeah, we do some cold calling, but
Not your favorite, huh?
no, it's not, especially if they don't know why you're calling and if they're not qualified.
Hey, real quick, I want to ask because I've done many construction projects throughout the state. Are you familiar with Factory Street, West Warwick? Is that not anything you're doing, right?
Mm-mm,
An old mill in Factory Street. Okay,
mm-mm.
had a lot to do with that. We're not going to get into that though. Anyway, over here. So, we covered most of that.
But I kind of wanted to talk
Uh,
about like the current market.
yeah. So the current market in the state here. Obviously, we've gone through. We'll do a little introduction on the market. The market means how fast people are buying and selling properties, right? I believe
Like,
through
how is your
watching YouTube
investment
videos.
doing?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Are you making money on it or what? So, what do you think the market is like, and what area are you usually covering? I believe you had some place in Coventry you were speaking about, but tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so right now the market is what we like to say is getting soft. Before we had multiple offers, over ask, no
I
inspections.
was bidding on those homes, and it was not fun. So, what's
No,
going on now with
no.
it?
And I will say that I never had, only one time, I would never advise a client to not get a home inspection. The only time I had one client, he's like, I don't want a home inspection. And I'm like, I don't agree with that. And you're going to
Mhm.
sign a document saying that against my professional advice,
Yep.
you are going to forego the inspection.
So real quick, so people know, because I think we explain this to a lot of people that don't aren't familiar with at all, a home inspection is after you the two agents agree they want to buy the house. You say, okay, here the offer is accepted. We're going to send a professional from a home inspection company. He goes through the house, make sure there's no termites, make sure stuff's up to code. He'll look at wiring and stuff. He looks at the whole home and makes sure it's in good shape.
Mhm.
And he gives it a stamp saying this home is not going to fall down. And when you waive that, that means the guy doesn't do the inspection. So you better look really good and see
Well,
what
I
you're
always
looking
tell
at.
everyone, I'm like, I didn't get into the roof. Like, I didn't, I didn't get up there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have to have, yeah. So basically, when a buyer and seller agree to the terms, which is price and then closing,
Hmm.
then you go into the 10-day inspection period. So the buyer is responsible to pay for the inspection.
Hmm.
It's typically around like $500 to $600, and then if it's a multi-unit, it's more. I always recommend a home inspection, and I always tell buyers that this is for you to learn about your house.
Hmm.
So you're not just like taking photos and being like, oh my God, I'm gonna buy a house. No, you gotta like be in there with the inspector, checking everything out because there's so much that goes on in a house that you really need to like know what's up.
Exactly. And so when I got my inspection, he gives you he prints it out with photos saying this radiator doesn't work or this wiring is off, live knob and tube. That was cool, right? And he drops
Oh
off a thing. He's like,
God,
"Doosh,"
Mm.
and it's this paper up, and
80
it's
pages.
basically all your next million weekends are going to be taken up doing this. And if you can't do it on the phone with people that will get paid to do it, so it's not fun. You're never going to buy a perfect house, even on a new construction. You still do a home inspection.
Always do a home
Yeah,
inspection.
people think they should waive
Yeah.
their right to an inspection. They go,
No.
it's brand new.
They're like, the town came in. You're like, yeah, but no. I've
You
always found stuff on a new construction home.
always get the home inspection, and right before you buy the home, at least with me, they go. They didn't even tell me this. They go, "All right, we're gonna go to Lawyer's office and close on it." Cool. He goes, "All right, we're gonna stop by the house beforehand." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Oh, you do a final walkthrough." I'm like, what is this like a show? Like is a reality show? I didn't know what it was. He goes, "No, the final
Mm.
walkthrough." You know what I mean? It's you walk through and make sure nobody's got the drywall and goes.
Yeah.
I hate this
Yeah.
buyer.
Or
Just
Yeah.
ruin something. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, it's happened multiple times where you go in and like the AC isn't working. You know what I mean? So sometimes you can close and you do what's called an escrow holdback, which means you would say, all right, it's going to cost us, you get a bunch of quotes from
Mhm.
contractors to see how much it's going to cost to fix the property. And then you hold back 1.5 times of that amount in the attorney's office for it to be fixed. And then the seller would then get that
Mhm.
amount back. But I would typically, if there's something happening with the house, I would just wait to close on it unless you really have to.
So the market you're saying it's being soft, which is meaning that there's not all these people scrambling to go buy homes and everything right now. So it's probably slightly better now for someone who's buying in this
Mhm.
state, in the Ocean State. If you're buying, it's slightly better. Prices are still up. We've all experienced inflation. That's throughout the board, not just in realty, groceries too. When it's a hard market would mean that a bunch of people are bidding on the same house and enter bidding wars like I did. I
Mhm.
have not like a scam or conspiracy, but I always had the idea of why don't if you go to an open house, I would go to open houses and it'd be like 10 other families there. I go, okay, 0% chance I'm getting this. Why don't we all go, hey, sign up to this app, we can all talk, and we'll all go, okay, who needs this house the most? I live right next door, I need this house, or this is my grandma's house, really want to buy. Like, why don't we all talk so we have some power against these people selling it? Because I was buying in a market after the huge inflation where everybody was laughing, like, you can't get a home. It was like terrible. So I'm like, why aren't we all talking and figuring this out? Because people were going way over the asking price. The asking
Yep.
price is when you go on Zillow, it says this home is for sale for 400. You'd put in a bid. I put in a bid for like 405, like thinking I'm a big
Mhm.
shot. This guy goes 460, and he got the home. I'm like, oh my god, this guy. So they would bid way over the asking price to make sure that nobody else gets it because I guess when you're a seller and you're selling your home, you just get a bunch of envelopes from the realtor. You open them up, say who wants what, who's represented by who, how much they're asking, if they're first time home buyers, and you just go, oh, whose life do I want to put in my home now for the next 100 years? And it's like a huge decision. You're just making this decision with that little envelopes here. Like 20
Mhm.
people want it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's like a huge nerve wracking thing for me. I think it's very nerve wracking. So it's good to have people like you around that know what they're talking about. You know?
Yeah, that's why, I mean, even during that time, I really had a hard time, not a hard time working with buyers, but I was just like, you can wait a couple of years. It's going to come down because unless you needed a house, I just felt like, again, my fiduciary responsibility is like, I'm not going to tell you to pay more than what the house is worth. I just think that's stupid.
And people did,
And people did.
because you had
It
to.
wasn't me though. because that
Mm.
was just not the case. But one thing quickly that I wanted to mention though too is when you are a buyer, it's also important to just do the home inspection, but also to get a radon test
Mm.
as well as a sewer scope.
Mm.
So if you so a sewer scope like goes down out to the sewer. If you have like a multi-unit, live in Providence, any kind of city, I would 100% make sure that you get a sewer scoop because those are so expensive to have to like you have to get a permit. You have to like dig up the whole entire sidewalk and
They
what have you.
excavate the whole yard.
It's bad. Yeah.
So what she's talking about, guys, if you have a sewer connection to the street, so your toilet it all goes out to the street, and it's like a public service, and you pay a monthly thing. You actually have a pipe under your grass. People don't even know it that goes out to the sewer. It didn't get clogged because they like flushing wipies. Everybody loves flushing the baby wipes, or whatever.
Or it's
They,
deteriorated,
it could.
or the that tube itself is deteriorated. So yeah, I would 100% recommend any person that's listening to always get those 3 inspections, the regular inspection.
And I just want to say what the radon is, and we'll go to B Dog. The radon is a gas that, for some reason, doesn't even sound real. It could be some scam. I don't know. But radon is oh yeah, you got it pulled up because I got one in my basement. I had to put it in. It's like a little tube that comes out and gets rid of
And
the atomic
it's not
things.
expensive. It's like $1,000, but
Read.
for instance,
Did you spell it right?
Westerly, anywhere where you have a lot of ledge, like Westerly has a lot of radon.
And so let's see, what is it? I think it's some type of
RADON.
it's some stuff you don't want to keep breathing in
So
constantly.
that's what
Didn't
I wanted to actually ask about was why does it keep saying
because
random? Jeez.
yeah, no one. Yeah.
All right, radon. I wanted to keep asking about it because doesn't it leak
Well,
radium actually? Isn't it that what
I am not a chemist.
well,
imagine you're a realtor, but you need to know chemistry too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I just
radium
failed that.
is the chemical that I believe comes from the radon, and radium is the same thing that was in the watches that made them glow, which also was the part of the radium
Why
girls.
would that? So she's saying it's in ledge. Why would there be
It's a natural rock,
radioactive?
like uranium is a natural ore
Oh,
from the
it's
rocks.
is ra
It
Uranium is a
causes lung
natural.
cancer.
So let's see. AI is saying it's radioactive gas that can be found
Mhm.
in soil, rocks, water, and some building materials. I didn't know
It's the
this.
degradation of the rock, I believe,
Meg,
as the rock
Meg,
degrades.
you're saying that Wesley will have more radon than another area. I thought it was like just a flat rate for
It's because of the
everybody.
bedrock, I believe, too. Some areas like New
They
England
have a
have
lot of
more radon
limestone.
than
Yeah, so it
areas in
depends on the
Florida.
town,
Yeah.
but I would definitely recommend always getting a radon.
This area of the
Mhm.
Northeast, because I'm in excavation myself, we have a lot of ledge, and ledge is the big solid rock
Mhm.
that's just so you dig down and then you want to build a home and you hit rock and it's like a big long scape of it, and you actually have to get the hammer. When you hear it, it's like it sounds like a war zone. That construction site. That's a guy with a hydraulic hammer breaking it, so you can have your little basement there.
That's from the glaciers, I believe, packing down the soil over millions of years. The glaciers that used to cover
I
during the
get,
Ice Age.
yeah, I guess so. So now that's
Mhm.
why out in the house over there, they have the tube coming out of the basement because they
It's an
have
easy
filters in.
fix.
Yeah, it's not expensive, but
It's
it's just
not
something you
expensive, but
should know
it's
about.
like, yeah, I mean, just let's figure out if it's there.
Yeah, just know it's there because if you have your kid living down there or in-law living down there, they breathe in for so long, it could lead to some health problems. But only it's we're not talking about like tens of thousands. It's cheap. It's
What
pretty
about
cheap.
carbon monoxide? That's another one to watch out for, right? Isn't carbon monoxide detection in the home pretty
Yeah, yeah, you would definitely
important?
want those
Yeah.
And
working.
we're not
Yeah.
going to go down this whole rabbit hole, but
Yeah.
just so you know, in Smithfield, we had a carbon monoxide poisoning that killed a whole family.
Oh my
This was
God.
maybe years ago or something like that. And, it's that we'll do some whole other episode talking about that. We'll do some town meeting type thing, but it's a serious thing. These houses are sealed shut so well with the airflow. They don't allow the airflow. And I think the guy he was growing some stuff in the house, and I don't even really want to talk about it because it's like
Dude, that like
terrible.
legit almost happened to me. Like I almost like someone they almost found me like dead in my
It
house
could,
because I was at my parents' and um it was the heating unit was not flowing to the exterior. Like it
exhaust
was
getting
the
into
exhaust
the
was coming in. So that's why like having a home inspection, knowing like, okay, we gotta like make sure that that's working and flowing outside. But same thing, I kept like the alarms, they weren't like going off crazy. They was just like tick, tick, tick. So I was like, all right, let me go change the battery.
keeps
No,
going.
same thing. And then I'm like, all right. And it just kept going for a couple days. And I'm like, I'm just gonna call the fire department.
Yeah.
They're like, if you were down here for like another 30 minutes, you would have been dead. I was like,
Well,
great.
that's terrible because it's such a terrible death because you just get sleepy, fall asleep, and it just kills you. It's like
I
it
know.
slowly makes you pass out,
Yeah, terrible.
So yeah, it's something you were on.
But
What else you want to talk about?
I was gonna say like so yeah, so the current market it's getting soft. So that means more days on market. Before, it would be on market for a day, you'd have like a million offers. Now you're not getting, oh, sorry, you're not getting as many offers. And then you're also having offers come in under the list price. And then people are also asking for more repairs. So that means, so the current market is getting soft. And then to add another layer onto it, obviously, like you were talking about inflation and stuff, it's
Mhm.
like buyers, I mean, people have to be able to afford to live in their house, right? So whenever I sit down with a buyer too,
Real quick, one sec, Meg. Buyer right now, and this is the basically fall of 24. What is some stuff they're going through right now? We just had a bunch of legislation changes with, with the NS
NAR, yep.
NAR, yeah.
Mhm.
All right, what's going on with the
Yeah, so
buyers?
I mean, first of all, I think everyone's at max capacity in terms of like spending
Hmm.
because every time you go to the grocery store, like legitimately anything's $5, right? So we have an increase of everything, just pricing and everything. So for a buyer, they're struggling to make that monthly payment. So what I typically do when I first sit down, the bank is going to loan you like 40% of your monthly income,
Which is a lot.
which is a lot. It's too much. So, you're like, "Oh my god, I can afford this," but you really can't. So, what I typically do is I have the loan officer, I'm like, "All right." I get ranges. I'm like, "Give me how much it would cost these people monthly." That means insurance, taxes, principal, and interest, right? So, mortgage. The whole payment, how much it's gonna be each month at, let's say, 400,000 and 500,000 and 600,000, so people can get an idea as to where they should even be looking in terms of prices because they get sticker shock. I mean, they're like, "Oh yeah, I could do 500,000." You're like, "Well, 500,000 is like X amount." And they're like, "Okay, well, we can't do that." And so I always want to make sure people are not like house poor. You want to be able to like go get your nails done or like go out to dinner with your husband or whatever it is. So that's super important. But yeah, so what's happening now, the struggles with buyers is number 1, the rates are higher. I think the rates are going to come down, so it's gonna ease that a little bit. Um, then the insurance is higher typically in most places, the taxes are going up, and to add the other layer, now the buyers have to pay for their, someone to represent them by themselves. So that gets, mounted into the closing cost, but I think as if you're a buyer right now, number 1, it is a good time to buy because it's coming down, right? We're on this down slope.
Yes, the premium of the home is going down, but
Mhm.
there's other things happening because I closed on my home. But you're right, taxes go up, so that means I literally had a bill for like 2 grand, and it went up a couple hundred, went to 2,200.
Yeah.
So just because that means that every year they go, oh, inflation went up. This home is now worth. I bought it for 4. It's now worth 5. You go, oh, good. I made 100 grand, like fictionally, kind of, if I sell it.
Right.
But no, haha. Now you're paying for the taxes every month.
Right, the assessment.
Yeah,
Mhm,
the
what the
assessment went
Yep.
up.
So for buyers out there right now, I think it's really important for you guys to, now that you're paying for your agent,
Hmm.
you better hire someone that's really gonna kick ass, and that's gonna be really good, and they're gonna make sure that you're in the best situation possible. So obviously you can call me. And then the last thing I did wanna talk about was, the sisterhood swap that I do.
Okay, so so this is you're taking your own time off of your busy life to do is it like a charity or what's a
Yeah,
sisterhood you
I'm actually gonna make it into a nonprofit because everybody keeps telling me this, but I became a single mom and sometimes, money gets tight. And so when that happens, you are not buying clothes for yourself. You're not, you're struggling. So I had a bunch of my friends donate all these clothes and we went to an assisted living in Warwick, Halcyon House or Halcyon. And we basically had like a pop-up shop, but it was all free clothing. So it was so great because all the old ladies, they were like, "Oh my God, Shirley, that looks amazing. Everything's free. Can you believe it?" And so they went and like they're like literally shopping in their facility, which was really cool. And I brought books, and so they would take books for their grandkids when they're coming. And and then everyone that worked there, they brought clothes, so everyone was able to come. I'm like, this is not Savers too. Like, you're gonna drop your clothes off. If you bring me holes and stains, I'm gonna be pissed. And you have to hang up all your clothing. And it was just such a nice exchange for like multiple generations to be able to come through and just be able to also like get stuff and then give stuff, right? So people that I was like, listen, if go home, try the stuff off on. If it doesn't work for you, bring it back tomorrow, and then bring anything else that you have that you're looking to not use anymore. Because I think again, like the prices are so high for everything, everyone is struggling, and so that was amazing. It was supposed to last 2 days. It lasted a week. Then it went from Warwick to Central Falls Laundromat for 2 weeks. Then it went to another office in Chepachet. And so this year, well, it was just in the springtime. So I'm going to do it again. And I'm looking to do it at Hasbro. And then we're also going to do it again in the assisted living. So it was just a really like lovely opportunity for people to be able to give and interact and it was like so easy to do and free,
Well, it
you
sounds
know?
awesome because everybody's got a closet full of clothes they don't wear. Also, cool thing about clothes that they don't have an expiration date, and every 10 years they actually come back in style. Because if you dated a lady for 10 years, like I have, you'll see the stuff which she'll wear, and then the Kardashians don't wear it no more. It's lame, and then it starts to become almost like exotic, and then it comes
Retro.
right back.
Yeah.
And it'll become retro. Like, dude, like ladies now are wearing the high waisted stuff that you
Oof.
would never see in the early 2000s. Now everything high waisted. That wasn't a thing 10 years ago.
Mhm.
It's just happened now. I don't know who's making the trends, but yeah. So
But it's
clothing's
cool,
an
like,
awesome thing.
it's cool to be able to also, like I feel like just donating stuff when you also know that you can donate stuff and you can pick up a shirt or something like that or something else, it's nice to know that you're just, like, recycling it, so I call it a community closet because it's like, "Alright, maybe you can come here, buy an outfit for not buy an outfit, but get an outfit
Mhm.
for, your vacation or whatever, and then next swap, you'll be able to bring it back because 'cause you've already used it," you know? So just almost like rotating your wardrobe.
It's almost like connecting people because there's always a bunch of people that need to get rid of some clothes. There's always a bunch of people that are looking to get some clothes
Mhm.
for cheap or for nothing because
Yeah.
everybody's going to have some type of financial issue going on. You know what I mean? We're going through a weird changing period right now. But if somebody wanted to be a part of that, what would they do? They
Oh,
con
totally. Yeah. Give me a call, 609-598-2232. Or you could find me on Instagram, Meg Hayden, Hayden, realtor. And we're going to be doing it in October. And it's also just a really great way to volunteer like 4 hours of your time. You know what I mean? It's not like a huge like commitment where you're like, I gotta be here every week or whatever it is. But you'll feel so good and everybody would like come up to me. They're like, I'm so proud of you. They're like, I worked 2 or 3 jobs, like I'm not able to buy anything or buy something for my grandkids. And we were just so grateful that you were able to put that together. But I think it's really important for all of us as human beings now to like become more of human beings and really create that community that I feel like we've lost after like 2020 and that everyone's just like out for themselves and blah 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 and it like especially with the environment right now like the political environment it's
Mhm.
like they don't give a fuck about you.
They
They don't.
don't.
Nobody does. So I really feel like we just have to get back to like if you were to treat somebody like you have to see them all the time or that they are going through something because everybody's going through something. It doesn't matter like who you are. Like you could have death in the family, you could have sickness in the family, you could have any divorce, you could have anything. And I just think it's really important for us to get back to that place where we are respecting people and that everything's not just a dollar. Like
That's
it's
right. I
gross.
think it's important to not treat people like they're expendable. When you walk in a city and you realize that people become your obstacle, and you're going down the street and you want to push people out of their way, you don't think that guy he dates a girl, they have a family, he goes through his own stuff, he goes through probably something similar you're going through. When you live in a rural place, sometimes it's a lot easier because you have to see if you live in a small town, why are people closer? They have to see each other. Like, so
Mm.
the guy, if you go to buy a property, the town kind of has like one realtor. Everybody knows the guy. You
Mhm.
may have gone to his house, you know his
Mhm.
kids. It's a lot tougher to treat people like crap when everybody knows each other's going to see them again.
Mm.
If I'm never going to see B Dog again or
Mm.
something like that, I'll scam them out of some stuff like I'm always trying to do.
Mm.
But yeah, so it's because people become expendable. You don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
So we'll do a time check. We'll do some closing arguments. Unless anything else you wanted to
Well,
cover.
the last thing I did want to say is I am a fantastic real estate agent and I do work with a lot of listings like sellers and I really like that aspect because I like to market. So, it's not just about me putting it up on MLS. Like my job is to get your property in front of as many people as many times as much as possible, right? So, people are buying houses in their bedrooms at night. So if you have some
Mm,
agent who takes a photo with their phone and doesn't spend the
mm.
200, $250 to get it professionally done, like those are questions that you need to be asking people.
That $200 you spend on a photographer is going to equal a lot more in the future because you
Oh,
have so many more people that want to see it.
yeah. I
Exactly.
mean, and that's why sometimes with buyers, I'm like, guys, we got to get these like, let's get into this place that has like five terrible photos because it's probably going to be a great spot. And like, we'll go and look at it that way. So, but if you're listing a property and selling a property, it's super important to have someone who is professional and also takes professional photography, video, what have you. But then what I do is I do 100 door knock like around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, when you're selling a house, your people don't necessarily know that your house is going for sale. They're not necessarily looking at the market, right? So I go and I knock 100 doors and let them know that there's going to be an open house coming on Saturday, Sunday from whatever, 11 to 12.
Mhm.
And there's been so many times that I've literally gotten buyers that way because some guy was like, "Oh, my friend like really wants to live in this neighborhood." He came, bought the house. So I do it like I always say we're like offline and online, but so we do that, and then I also, I have, like, a whole email campaign. So when you're listing a property, let's say your property isn't ready like, show yet, like, you're still trying to get it ready, you're still trying to get it ready for photos. What we do is called a coming soon. So that can be up to a month before you list the property, where we can just have the front of the house as a photo, and we're like, "Hey, we're coming."
Yeah.
Alright? So what I do is I have a database of over 2,000 agents, and so I email them like, "Hey, listen, this is coming soon. Hey, listen, this is live.
Mm.
Hey, listen, we're having an open house. Hey, listen, we're having an open house tomorrow. Be there." So as long as you're making sure that you're also not only getting in front of the buyers, but you're getting in front of the agents because a lot of agents aren't necessarily paying attention to the market all the time
You're
for
ahead of the
their
game.
buyers.
Yeah.
You're getting it in front of them to say, "Hey, listen," so they can say, "Oh my, oh yeah." They look like a rock star and say, "Oh yeah, look, let's go to this open house." So that's what I do, and that's what sets us apart is our marketing and,
So early bird gets the worm, right? You're
yeah,
ahead of the game, so
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
that's an
it's just
awesome thing.
touches.
I think that the neighbor thing is
Mhm.
so insane because I am
Mhm.
so much more incentivized to buy a home when it's right across from me because I got in-laws that are gonna be needing a place soon. They're either gonna be in my basement or there's a property right across the street. You know what
Right.
I mean? So the neighborhood thing is such a good idea. Proximity is huge with me, especially in this state. Everybody wants to be close, right? If
Mhm.
it's one little metro area, everybody wants a we're big on time, right? Everybody needs to cut their time in half, right?
Yeah,
If the in-laws can be right next to me, or there's like a house they like a little bit more, 2 homes away. It's like I'm not gonna be visiting them that often. Like, I got
yeah,
a busy life here,
There's
so
no time.
so I
yeah.
didn't even know you do all that stuff. I think we briefly talked about that before, but that's awesome. So
That's
that
why I
is
like working with developers because I like the marketing aspect. I like to do, like, crazy videos and stuff like that.
and
Like, one time I did a video where I jumped off of the seller's boat and we swam to the listing.
So you can get creative. Depends on how much extra stuff you want to do. You can get creative with this and create a brand. Like, Connie's got her brand, and
Yeah.
then other people have a brand. Some people just want to be like, for me personally, I don't mean to bust anybody's balls. I would probably not want any of that funny business because I'm like, listen, this is really stressful. I can't take any days off work, so I have to like have like a half second and go look at this real quick. It's not going to be fun. It's stressful for me. There's a huge investment, so like for me, it's not the perfect thing. But other people that live a regular life, unlike me, would probably like that.
It's
Well, I
tough
think it's
to
super important to just be authentic in your
Mhm.
business. So, like, I know you guys were
Mhm.
you're starting in your real estate journey. So I
Mhm.
think the more authentic you are, people gravitate towards that. Like, life is about energy, If you have good energy, you're gonna attract that.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, B dog?
Well, I was gonna just say it's tough to really get ahead of the game if you're not paying attention to the current market. So like what you're saying, you need to be always constantly paying attention to the news. It's not
Mhm.
gonna just be real estate, but you need to also look at the economy.
Hmm.
You need to look at finances, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Some other time, when we get a little bit more pro, Meg, we'll have you back on, and I want to do the ultimate buyer's guide to real estate, where these chart I started on.
mhm.
It'll take a while. It's gonna be an hour and a half, I guarantee you. We'll do the whole tree of life about how real estate works, and we'll do it all the way from buyer. You can go all the way to sales, finance,
Seller's
sellers,
financing.
financing. We'll do all that stuff. We'll do the whole tree of life sometime. But all right, everybody. So give it up for the amazing Meg Hayden,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
All right. See you later, B Dog. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace.